Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to go over my alternate way of building EK Ignite. As we know, EK Ignite got a big hit from the 3.25 patch note. Determination nerfed, Grace nerfed for the base values of the gems. So since we're not stacking armor through gear with the better bases, basically we're just getting a minus in the defensive aspect. The physical damage taken got nerfed. The Divine Blessing for the free aura got completely removed. On top of that, the hatred, like the hatred aura, also got the more cold damage removed. So we know already that this was like a nerf to EK overall. And honestly, I tried to make like a more tanky version to offset the missing damage. The missing damage is not that bad. You can still get Ignite Cap or like 30 million Ignite, but you're pretty much a glass cannon. So what I tried to do is making a tanky version out of it that basically can stay in the fight for a bit longer for the missing damage. So I did try two different ways. One is going to be the Dawnbreaker version. The other one is the Mahuxotl'S Machination version, right? So first of all, just so you understand what I tried to achieve. So damage shifting is basically one of the best ways to mitigate damage. So for example, with the Tempered by War keystone over here coming from the Rakiata on a Lethal Pride, you get this keystone Tempered by War, and it says 50% of cold and lightning damage taken is fire damage, but therefore 50% less in cold resistance overall from gear, right? So 100% cold res on your gloves, for example, would only be worth 50 because it's reduced by 50%. But what is the thing? Why would you even like consider converting your resistance in that case, right? That's D&D clear. So basically, you're getting immune to cold penetration, lightning penetration if you get to 100% because you don't get these damage types anymore, right? On top of that, you can stack up to like 90% fire resistance, so you're technically having triple 90 all res with this kind of version, right? The problem is there is only two ways to convert 100% into like from lightning and cold into fire, and this is the Tempered by War plus the Sublime Vision for Purity of Fire, which says 30%, and then with the Dawnbreaker gives you also 20% lightning cold as fire, so you have 20% from the shield, 30 from the Sublime Vision, and 50 from Tempered by War gives you 100%, so you can completely ignore all kind of lightning and cold resistance because it's not damage taken from hits, it's overall damage. So even cold dot will be taking as fire damage. So you can completely like go minus 100 cold resistance and you will still not die to cold damage because you take fire damage instead, right? And with 90% fire res, you're basically having 90% cold res as well. The Sublime Vision version doesn't work over here. I mean, it would work, but why would you do that? We get so much damage from our auras, coming from Malevolence, coming from Hatred, coming from all the, like, Heralds and stuff. I think you can still run Heralds because they're not auras, but you're losing out on Discipline, you're losing out of all these kind of things, right? And this would be such a damage loss, and we would not even be able to convert the physical into cold. I mean, you can find ways to do that, but with Hatred, it's just the easier way with the Watcher's Eye modifier, right? So that basically, the Sublime Vision version falls for me personally off. So I got here 50%, then 20% from the shield is 70%, and the new Watcher's Eye modifier for Purity of Fire, which is also 15% cold and lightning damage taken as fire, up to 20%. So you get to 90%. So my first take was getting 90% conversion into fire, get 90% fire resistance, but still try to res cap your cold and lightning because you're still taking 10% of the damage, right? But the problem is, with Tempered by War, you need a shit ton of cold lightning resistance. As an example, my gloves have like T1, T2 cold and lightning res. My helmet had double T1 cold lightning res. My belt has double T1 cold lightning res, and I was still not cold lightning res kept because now you need twice as much resistance based on the Tempered by War. So I said this is not really the way to go, just because, you know, I need my suffixes for other things like faster ignite, dot multi, and all these kind of things, but I cannot allow myself to do that because if I run like only like 40 lightning resistance, even if I only take 10%, you're still gonna be like, what is the point of even shifting the damage then, right? So another way of getting to 100% next to the Sublime Vision is the Mahuxotl'S Machination thingy. There is a lot of keystones on there, there's a lot of modifiers, and I spent like 2 or 3 hours today. I'm getting somewhat a workable version of this, which I achieved, but it still feels like paper. The thing here is it gives you Divine Flesh, which is naturally on the Timeless Jewel, I think like the Glorious Vanity by Xibaqua or anything like that, gives you the keystone Divine Flesh. and you cannot get that with Tempered by War because obviously we don't have a Glorious Vanity, we have a Lethal Pride. But the shield gives you Divine Flesh. So now we have 50% of Cold Lightning taken as fire, but the Divine Flesh gives you 50% of ally damage taken as chaos. So here is 50% and here is 50%. So now I can completely ignore that. And that's why I swapped away these like couple items. I just used those because I didn't want to buy anything else. But then I got like, for example, a Penitent Mask for 4 maximum chaos resistance just with chaos res. I get a shit ton of fire res based on my purity of fire. Because I want to also get to like 90 max res, right? And if I use my Ruby Flask, I'm already at 89% and way over fire res kept. So what is the problem here? You have to solve a lot of issues with this shield. And basically, the main problem with this shield is the reworked Val Pact. So if you take a look at the new Val Pact, it basically says life leech from melee damage is instant and also cannot recover life other than from leech. And I tried like almost everything, for example, with the replica Sword of Divine, where I get life recovery from flasks also applies to energy shield. So because if you have this shield, you just have 0 energy shield, so you need to start restoring something, right? So if I unequip that, you see that my ES would go up again, right? But with that, you start at 0 energy and you cannot regen and you cannot recover ES, and based on the Val Pact, you cannot get anything from life flasks either. So what would work is, for example, if I put in a breathing jar and would start basically why don't get stacks. Doesn't matter. But you could spawn the worms, kill those off, and get some ES going to cast your spells based on like the Eldritch Battery, right? I tried it with the Forbidden Taste, which says recover 95% life on use, but this is not a life flask, it's a quartz flask. So this works without the shield. So as soon as I put away the shield and I put this on, I basically, with the Sword of Divine over here, as soon as I press my Forbidden Taste, I'm instantly restoring all of my ES, right? But with the shield on, with Val Pact, blocking everything. The only thing that I found out that works is life gain or ES gain on hit, right? But this is more like for melee skills, because as a caster, you don't have like 100 hits per second. And Leech. And that told me instantly that I have to focus entirely on Leech. So I got this Leech cluster over here for the Light Eater spell damage Leech as ES, with a mastery of some instant Leech, another complete life like ES Leech mastery over here to just get somewhat of ES Leech going, right? Another thing on this shield is the Everlasting Sacrifice. This is something I don't build around, but once you get to full energy, you deplete all of your energy shield, and therefore you get a buff which gives you 5 to all maximum resistance, including chaos resistance. So that was like, this is pretty nice. Usually you play the Mahuxotl'S Shield on Pathfinders with the Enduring Life Flask and stuff like that, but I think this will now even be gutted as well based on a new Val Pact node, cannot recover life other than from Leech. I also tried out the Brush with Death medium cluster node. If I find it somewhere, do I have it in my tree? Nope. It's somewhere. But the Brush with Death says 1% of ES and life recovered on kill. That also don't work. So strictly nothing works with this but the Leech, basically, right? So what I did is just building completely around Leech, but also getting so much mana reservation efficiency going that I can cast at least one spell, basically, like 1 EK. So I have like here 99 mana, my EK costs 86 with a mastery to skills cost life instead of a 15% mana cost. So now I can use 1 EK without Eldritch Battery to get the Leech basically going. As you see here, now I'm recovering ES, now the Eldritch Battery, so I can spam that shit. So as long as I have my Leech instance going, my ES goes up, right? But the shield also says you lose 5% of ES per second. This is why you see that degenning, right? So you need at least somewhat of a mana pool to cast 1 EK to get your Leech going. And then you basically can just, yeah, simply self-sustain it. And you're gonna see in a second, once I get full, I'm losing all my ES, I get the Everlasting Sacrifice, and then I have enough mana left to basically get this entire loop going again, right? So this is the most effective way that I found out that this could be playable, right? And then I did even more stuff, like I tried out a lot of things. I think I wasted like 15 or 20 divines just by cluster jewels and supplemental gear and just to try everything like that going. But the end of the day is, don't get me wrong, EK is still insane for any kind of like insane map blaster, right? But what I'm currently doing is farming Deli strands with basically here on my Atlas tree here with Scryte. So I'm running the Deli mirror, and the thing how the Deli mirror works is the further you get away from the Deli mirror, the harder the monster get, right? Strength is a very long layout. I get like 200 simulacrum splinters for one map, which is insane. But at the end of the map, right before you hit the map boss, the monsters are 100% Deli, right? So they are very, very tanky and also deal a shit ton of damage, and I just die non-stop, right? Sometimes I even cannot finish the map. I need to stop the Deli because the monster just stun-locking me, killing me, and so on and so forth. So I'm wondering, is this Antar trying to make the build tanky even worth? And my opinion is no, it is not. I would rather now, since I tested all of these, would just play it in the old version, get a bow, get a quiver, get insane amounts of damage, get ignite capped, and just live the way that you're a glass cannon until you get a headhunter or a mage blood to be able to get a granite flask back maybe, and some base armor. In that case, right? But I'm still gonna give you guys a map showcase so you guys see what that would look like in the current state. So what I'm currently doing is we go to Scarabs, we do the Sulfite Scarab, we get a Shrine, we get the Mirror of Delirium, we do get the Breaches. Let take 2 breaches, because my current Atlas passive tree is around breaches, is about map sustain, is with the singular focus, as I said, with the Eater of Worlds, with Breach, with Shrines, and with Deli, basically, right? And I wanted to make this as cheap as possible, so all of these Scarabs are like 1 Chaos a piece, right? Nico Scarab, super cheap. The Mirror Deli, 1 Chaos. I think the Shrine is a little bit more expensive. No, it's also 1 Chaos. So there's like 5 Chaos invested into Scarabs, basically, right? So let me pick one of my beautiful mappies, and we're gonna get a map showcase going so you see how this build plays in action. I do have quite a lot of ES now, and I actually don't need that much, because with the new with the March of the Legion, you still get a 5 link and you get inspiration, so it is like a lot cheaper. But you don't want to have as much energy shield just because of you want to proc the Everlasting Sacrifice as consistent as possible. But shit, I just lost track. Everlasting Sacrifice. Yeah, Mind Over Matter. I unspec this because it's so bad if you only have 99 mana for 1 EK and you get hit by anything and you just run in circles and you just cannot get any stuff going. You guys know how it feels like with Mind Over Matter. If you get an Ignite on, you just deplete your entire ES, you just cannot even cast a spell, and you just run around, try not to get hit, and it feels super clunky. And with the Everlasting Sacrifice proc thing, it's even worse. So let's see how that map goes. I'm just let a couple monsters spawn and hit my first EK. I get my ES recovery, and now basically the mapping starts. If I have enough mana, now I'm pressing my Malevolence to trigger a 20 seconds Malevolence buff, right? And now my Everlasting Sacrifice procs, and I get my ES back basically, because we have Overleech. But as you already saw, I just cannot tank any hits, and this is like problematic because it's supposed to be a tanky version. I mean, I'm obviously not having like insane gear by no means. 89 Fire S, 84 Chaos, so it is not bad. Double 90% with Born of Chaos, Megalomaniacs or something like that, or Small Cluster Jewels is definitely your late game option. But I just don't see it happen. I just cannot say this is worth to do, because you're losing out on a lot of damage on top of that, right? And obviously when doing these strands, I'm running all the Alta modifiers, so the maps get very, very hard. I say again, for normal mapping T16, you just need a 5 Divine's gear, and you're gonna have the time of your life coming with all the proliferations and stuff. It is really that fun, right? But for the harder content that I'm trying to do here, it's just not working out. Like, the character is just too squishy, even with Insta-Leech and Overleech, but you don't have any form of other recovery based on your life, because life flasks don't work. And as you see, I don't have evasion, I don't have spell suppression, because with the new, with the March of the Legion, you just lose another spot for a potential spell suppression, and therefore, you know, how are you gonna get all your spell suppression going? It's so much investment now with even losing another spot, so even with a gray setup, and I don't see that happen. So you can still go with some form of spell suppression and just get the spell suppression is lucky node, but that will not help you against potential one-shots just because you were unlucky and the spell suppression just did not proc. Good, we are reaching the halfway point of the map, so monsters are like a 50% Deli as of right now. So the things like Nico Shrines and stuff for the extra resistance and the extra damage and movement speed does definitely help, but I'm feeling so unsafe with this build right now that I'm always proccing random portals, so if I die, I can somewhat get back, right? And this is like not how this is supposed to work out. So let's do this Legion over here. I mean, obviously, EK Ignite or any form of like Ignite Prolif and stuff like that for Legion clearing is super nice and insane, but I just hope that I don't get instantly blown up here. Yeah, I got a hit, almost dead. Because the thing is, like, you just don't have any armor. So all I'm having in terms of physical damage mitigation right now is the Cloak of Flames, right? I could get potentially Searing Exarch, Eater of Worlds implicit to, you know, get a couple extra physical damage taking his fire, but that's pretty much it, and it's just not enough. But Endurance charges with Searing, like with Alta Farm, I'm not a big fan either, because of these modifiers of you have less recovery rate and stuff like that per endurance charge you have, or less defense per frenzy charge, and so on and so forth. And I think this would just naturally kill your build if you one time hit the wrong modifier on top of that, right? So it's just not that great. But as you see on the harder side, once we get to the end of the Deli Mirror, it just like makes me question, why did I even build this together? But the thing though is, I tested it, and this is something I really wanted to do, both with the Dawnbreaker and with the Mahuxotl'S Shield today, and I can just now say that I don't like it, and that's why I'm kind of like recommending the old glass cannon attempt of EK Ignite, more or less. So let's stop the Deli Mirror, because now it's getting like really rough. Maybe we get like a 50 splinters. Yeah, 53. And a Tainted Orb of Fusing, at least something. And obviously I wanted to share my thoughts on it. So the question though is obviously what's gonna be next, and I think since I was I still want to stay with the Ignite because I fucking love Ignite, right? But the thing is, like, I wanted to go for either life stacking Burning Arrow with the new bases and the new life rolls, or EK Ignite or Explosive Arrow Ballista. But for me, I made the decision to go EK over Burning Arrow just because of the circular clear, because it's very, very nice for something like Deli, Breach, and something like that. You just have the better AoE coverage, more or less, right? But since I tested EK now and I don't like it, I'm probably gonna just go next the Burning Arrow version, so I can compare those two with each other and see how that feels like. And then, yeah, give you guys another update on the future progression of whatever build it is going to be. Good. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you on the next video.